Hi, my name is Eric Sabin, and this is my experience in the LHHTA program, linking Hispanic heritage through archaeology. I've acquired many ideas since starting this program. Most of them include how going through my day makes me feel like I'm actually a part of my own heritage. As we dig on excavations and sit in lectures about old weapons, I feel like I am really learning something, opposed to a 1-hour field trip at school to a museum where you disregard everything you learn once it's over. I guess it really depends on the person though. Some kids want to learn and others don't care. I actually learned from the museums we went to. For example, there was a logo or a rock art called the Paths of Life that symbolized the migration of the Hopi clans. Unfortunately, most kids wouldn't care much to learn about their ancestors. I actually valued the new things I learned, like how pottery was made. I always thought it was so interesting to find an artifact and think about who it belonged to and what it was used for. When I hold a pottery shirt, I imagine somebody 1800 years ago holding the very pot the shirt came from. I try to imagine what they could have been thinking. Just like today, we don't think while we talk on the phone that 1,000 years from now, that people will find our phone and maybe think, what is this? Or figure out how old it is or think about the progression of technology. I have a kind of connection with the owner of that piece of pottery. When I hold it, it's like I'm taken back to that time. I believe that most of the things that we have today were derived from previous ideas or improved from previous models. There is evolution between the way things were done then and now. I notice a lot of connections between weapons and defense strategies then and now. Some specific examples are how they used to place houses up high on a hill maybe. This gives them the advantage to see over all the area around them, and we still use this tactic today in the circumstances where we want to protect something. They also would build shelter near resources like a lake. Today we'll have our resources in the backyard like fruit trees, and just like them, we stick with our families to feel safe and to protect one another. Something I thought was interesting was their strong weapons. They invented the atlatl, which was a long stick that an arrow or dart would be docked on and would help one throw the dart farther and with more velocity. I thought this was very smart. We also have connections between weapons too. Another weapon is the bow and arrow, which we still use today. We may have advanced bows, but the concept was already there. A third weapon is the cannon. Again, we have stronger ones now, but we simply improved the idea. A tradition that is apparent then and now is food. They had their food choice, and all families today have theirs. They used to eat cactus and cholla buds, saguaros and agaves were turned into syrup, and the fruit of a saguaro were harvested with the long dead saguaro ribs. The bean pods that fell from mesquite trees were ground up into a flour and also eaten. This was their tradition, eating foods from the desert. Today we have our own traditions, based off of what was passed down from our ancestors. We still eat cholla buds and drink the syrup and eat mesquite beans. But in my family we have our Mexican tradition also. We eat beans and tortillas. We eat tacos, tamales, and menudo. When we get together as a family, we eat a feast with all of these foods and more. This is our tradition, Mexican food. My grandma makes a lot of it and my tata helps, but they didn't really teach my dad. They taught my dad's sisters though. He knows how to prepare chorizo, but not much as my grandma knows. When we have these get-togethers, you usually see my grandma and my tias in the kitchen. My mom's parents know a lot too, but they actually taught my mom. This is an example of the tradition being passed on. It also shows how with our ancestors we wouldn't be here. They took care of their kids so that they could do the same, and so on. They taught their kids to cook so that they could survive alone and teach their kids. This keeps passing on not just with food, but with our living strategies and our hunting skills and techniques. This is why we are alive today.